Welcome back, everybody. It's Chris Angel, your host here, Life Coach Labs. I'm here with my friend, Meredith Benka. Hello, Meredith.
Hi, Chris. How's it
Thank you.
going?
Good. Thank you for being here.
Of course.
I wish we had recorded our green room conversation because there were some real gems in there.
I know. I think it would be cool for someone to make a podcast that's like not the actual podcast recording, the formal recording, but it's the green room conversation, because sometimes maybe those would be a little bit more revealing. But yeah, it's great to be here, and thanks so much for inviting me.
Yeah, well, I appreciate your mind, and I appreciate your heart, and I feel like those two make a great combination for you in business. And and then I guess I also appreciate the inner rebel that you have, because I think you and I share that. And I'm not hesitant to give a middle finger to those who I feel like are misleading others in the name of whatever, like in the name of them getting theirs. I think that happens a lot in the topic of growth, which is kind of where I want to go with you today. Like, as life coaches trying to grow a business, there's a lot of people who are willing to get theirs by selling you whatever they need to sell you. And so as life coaches, we have a lot of trauma around marketing. We've gone all in with our money for the sake of the calling, for the sake of serving our people, only to be like left with holding nothing. We're like, it didn't work for me. So I'd love to hear, well, first of all, maybe just tell people who you are, what you do, so they can have a relatedness to that. But then let's talk about the marketing problems in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a corporate dropout, I like to say. I spent about 20 years in public company sales and marketing, but left that 9 years ago after the birth of our son, because working in that traditional 80-hour week with 50% travel just wasn't a match for the kind of mom and wife and honestly human that I wanted to be. So I got really bold and very rebellious and walked from a job that I much of the time loved. I just loved my family and the opportunity to grow and serve in a different way more. Didn't know exactly what that was going to look like. It's always still evolving, which I think is exciting. But what I do now is I spend my time helping entrepreneurs learn the fundamentals of marketing so that they can actually be successful in serving their particular population with whatever their product and service is. And what that's come to be is really focusing on home-based business owners. And we're seeing so much of that, kind of, I don't know if we're allowed to say post-pandemic yet. Like, I feel like I want to say post-pandemic, but I'm not really sure but you get what I'm saying. Like the last 2 years, so many people have said, I need to make this leap and I'm not sure how. And when people are really good at delivering their gift, their service, their product, whatever it is, and they've reached some level of success, all of a sudden they wake up one day and realize that they do need to become a student of marketing. And so I'm very passionate about helping people figure out what that looks like and then be able to have the results that they want to. So
yeah, perfect. That's perfect.
Awesome.
That's perfect. Because that takes me to a question of, where do you see people not feeling like they know how to get into the marketing of things?
Yeah. Where I see people not feeling like they know where to get into the marketing of things is in a couple of ways. Oftentimes I see entrepreneurs, life coaches being entrepreneurial in the sense that they're doing their own thing, actually being rather introverted and feeling that they have to be extraordinarily extroverted in order to market themselves. Feeling like it's sleazy, or feeling like sales, and because sales and marketing truly are, they are married, and having that epiphany when you're that business owner and you're saying like, oh my gosh, I'm going, what do you mean? I'm going to have to market and sell myself, like sell these products and services like forever. I have to do that part of the business forever, because you're really in love with the delivery of what you do, right? You love being in the work, but you have to bring people to the work. And so that's where people typically tap out. They reach a certain level of success, they reach a certain point in their business, and they can't figure out how to leapfrog to that next level because they aren't sure what to do next. And so then what they end up doing is chasing a whole bunch of tactics, right? They, you know, let's talk about TikTok and Clubhouse becoming super popular during the pandemic.
Right.
You know, I do not teach classes on how to make really awesome reels. Like, you're not gonna see me over in the corner doing a bunch of this, right? Like with little songs in the background. That's not what I'm going to teach you how to do, because that's not going to work for you unless you've done all the upfront work first. But that's what entrepreneurs typically end up doing. They're like, oh my gosh, there's this new platform and I have to go get on it and I have to figure out how it works. And I'm going to spend a ton of time and effort over there. And then I'm going to hire somebody that says they're going to do it for me because I got frustrated. And then they kind of did it for me, but then they kind of didn't really do it for me. And now I'm, you know, 2 steps back rather than 2 steps forward.
Nobody listening to this knows what you're talking about. What?
No,
I have no idea what you're talking about.
No, because nobody's ever heard that before. Right?
I feel like so good, because I feel like we'll go down a road. This is where the trauma happens. Because one, the part of the trauma is comes from, we tried it, we poured all kinds of energy, time, effort into it, and then it didn't work. So there's that, like, I don't trust myself because I saw it. I thought I should do it. And then I made that choice and then it didn't work. And now I don't want to do that again. I don't want to chase some other tactic. So now I don't trust myself. There's some healing that has to happen there. And also the trauma that happens with those who sold us the stuff, where we're like, oh, now they're like, there's a lot of people. I don't know if it's fair to say it in life. Let's just say a lot of people who have this angsty contempt for Facebook. And I'm one of them, right? But that comes from the trauma of feeling misunderstood by Facebook, having my ad shut down by Facebook for no good reason because the AI thought it wasn't, like, they did this to me, or Facebook's just a place for people to complain. And so now there's this new wound that's there about the world of marketing. And so then, like you said, we'll just shrink. We're not gonna play the game.
And I've completely been there, right?
Yeah, right.
I implemented a chat bot and was finding the right people using the chat bot in Facebook. I was running great ads and getting, moving people forward in their businesses, finding the right clients, doing the great work. And all of a sudden, bam, one day Facebook was said, sorry, you used the chat bot incorrectly. So we are going to ban you from advertising forever. Wow. And I had to go through all the paces and all the backpedaling to be able to get that account back, because you're right, it was some AI, and there was definitely a wound there, especially because on the end of the process, I was doing the work that I know I'm here to do for the people that I'm here to do it with. Yep. And some third-party entity that doesn't know who I am or what I do or why I offer value decided that it was totally fine to have their, back end technology shut off my lead system. Yeah. And I mean, talk about like, so what do you do now? How do I grow from that? And what I really realized is that, and I think you and I've had this conversation before, but as we have shifted from a transaction-based economy to a relationship-based economy, and then to this social economy, I'm seeing us go back into a relationship-based economy with, I would call it, social overtones, right? So that realization that you do not necessarily have to have an email list of 50,000 people that you're sending an offer to on a weekly basis in order to have the impact that you can have, in order to have the income that you can have, and getting okay with that. For a long time, I had a hard time charging people for my guidance from a marketing and sales perspective, because I didn't feel like I should be able to make money that way. And once I overcame that and recognized that it was okay to make money, I then realized the more people that I could help to make money doing whatever it was they were doing, if they were doing it from that position of growth, from that position of leadership, from that position of service, then the tide was rising for everybody. But I didn't have to impact 50,000 people. If I could impact 10, then it was still moving the ball forward, and in a way that felt good for all of us. And I think the more of that we see in this space, the more acceptance that you can develop as a business owner for the definition of enough. Where can you make enough impact? Where can you make enough difference? And how do you settle into that and allow yourself to feel good about it?
Right. How did you get to the place about, I think that's when you're a helper, when you're wired to help and serve, it's hard to think about getting paid to do the thing that feels like a service. So then I think this is why sometimes the relationship we have between sales and marketing is off-putting to us at times, because it feels like I don't want to sell myself. I just want to serve people. So like, how did you make peace with that for yourself?
Yeah, really good question. I think I made peace with myself around that when I saw that the people I was working with, when I truly saw that they would not be able to get to the point that they were had I not helped them. Right. When I allowed myself to actually genuinely hear the feedback that I was getting from the people. So it wasn't so much that I felt like sales and marketing was icky, but what I was uncomfortable with was someone telling me that I was good, was someone telling me that I actually helped them, and hearing it and knowing, okay, wait a minute, I've worked with this person. They've gone from here to here. They've grown. Their business is doing better. They're reaching their goals. They're making their impact, and they're thanking me for that. And instead of being like, oh, no, you could have gotten there, really internalizing that maybe at some point they would have gotten to where they are, but that I helped them to expedite that process. And I helped them to get there in a way that had integrity for them, that it was okay for them to pay me for that expertise and for that assistance. Another big piece of that really helped me was fully buying into the idea that money is a representation of the exchange of energy. And this might get a little too woo.
Not for life coaches. Life coaches is right in our wheelhouse.
Okay, cool. So let's go to woo, right? So I was doing an online course with a woman, just a challenge. And she said this one phrase, and the whole 5-day challenge was like the one real nugget. And she said, money is an exchange of energy. And I really started to play with that concept that if I was having experiences throughout my life that have brought me to the point where I am today, which is an expression of the energy that I occupy in the universe, and that if someone wanted to take money as a representation of what they have brought to the table and exchange it with me for energies that I could implore to them, then that was an exchange that I was comfortable with, that I could actually get behind, and that felt good. And so that shift about money, not just being the transaction, but truly just being it might as well be a shell. It might as well, it doesn't matter. That's just what we right now in this current moment in the history of the planet have decided is the representation for the exchange of this energy. And that felt really, really good.
Yeah, love that. Yeah, love that. Wow. What if you were working with some, we'll say life coaches, because that's who's listening.
Sure.
And they kind of done the stuff, right? They spent thousands of dollars on a website and they don't really use it. And they maybe have played with different social media things and don't really like it. And their email list isn't really big, right? You see where I'm going? Like, like, it's not like I'm a good coach. I've been a practitioner. When I get a client or a referral, like I'm good at the coaching. How do I go about, I mean, there's a reality to growing the revenue of the business because it funds the work in the world. Like, how do I actually, where would you start with me?
Yeah, I mean, I think that gets back to the basics of, you really, really, really do need to understand the fundamentals of the marketing process and the sales process. And I started my career selling insurance, of all things.
Wow.
But some of the
hardcore.
Yeah, some of the lessons that I learned there still, provide an answer to this question. And so if you go back and you ask yourself, who is it that I really want to serve?
Mm.
How am I uniquely serving them?
Mm.
And why can they see the value in what I'm offering to them? Like, what are the pain points? What are they trying to overcome?
Mm-hmm.
If you have a clear understanding of that, then you can actually go back and do a bit of a post-mortem of the marketing that you've tried, because the reality is you do have to market yourself somewhere. And somehow, business is not going to rain from the skies to you, initially, and the space is going to continually change and evolve. So you have to have acceptance of the idea that promotion or sales and marketing is part of the work.
Mm-hmm.
And so first step, have acceptance of that. Second step, have absolute authenticity in how you're putting yourself out there. If it doesn't feel good, if it doesn't feel right, don't do it.
Yep.
Ask yourself, where do I feel like I'm in my power when I am marketing and where I am sharing, and pay very close attention to who is actually listening to you. Mm-hmm. I was sharing with Chris in the green room that when I first started on this journey, I had this idea that I was going to be like this big sister to 25 to 35-year-old moms who wanted to start businesses from home. Mm-hmm. And that since I had done that, all these young women were going to want to listen to me. So I developed an entire platform around it, developed this whole entire thing. And these 25 to 35-year-old women wanted absolutely nothing to do with me. And I was kind of hurt by that, because I was like, no, I have something for you. I know I do. But who I was attracting was actually women that were more between 40 and 55, who were at a different place in their journey, and they were resonating with what I was saying. So I stopped fighting the good fight, stopped trying to be something to someone who wasn't interested in who I was and how I could help. And I started to serve who was coming to me. So after I would go through the kind of that identity and make sure that I know who I am and what I offer and why it's important and who I want to serve, I would go back and I would really look at, who have I been serving, and are they the right client? Are they the right people? And then if they are, ask them questions. Why did you pick me? Where have I helped you? Where have I benefited? And then go and find places where those same people are looking for your help. And that might be online. It might not be.
How did you
need to figure that out.
How did you find them, or them find you? Like, what were the mechanisms, the pieces that created the?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So for me, largely after I just slammed Facebook, and told you how much I hated it and shutting off my chatbot, I went about it a different, much more authentic and organic way using Facebook. Created a community on Facebook, built that community by being very clear around who I wanted to help and how I was going to help them.
Like a Facebook group, when you say community, like the
through a Facebook group. Yep. And through really offering value first and offering help first, not just trying to slam somebody into a sale, but to really, get into that social relationship with people, find out what they were looking for, and to serve them. Like just right before this call, I had a call with a woman who's now become a client, because she was going to go and pay someone to build a website for her. And she said, hey, I'm just curious, would you look at this proposal? I'm just not quite sure what I'm looking at. And I said, here's what you're not getting. And, whether you choose to do business with me and have me help you, that's entirely up to you.
Yeah.
But the last thing that I want to have happen for you is for you to go and spin your wheels yet again on something that's not going to deliver. And then I was able to make recommendations for her to other places that felt good.
Yeah.
So Facebook is one way that I grew that. And also, once you get to some point of critical mass, and critical mass for a life coach, again, it doesn't need to be 10,000 clients. You're probably not going to have that many, right? Critical mass might be 5 or 6 clients. Once those people start experiencing the results of your work, asking for referrals in a meaningful way, and being very, very diligent about following up with those people, can bring you back to that definition of what's enough from a revenue perspective. I think we chase that 7-figure goal because that's what all the gurus are telling us to do. Is that really what you want?
Right. Yeah. Side note, I might even just I was saying we should change the word guru to like marketer. It's what the marketers are telling you, like marketers parading as gurus. The two questions I want to follow up on that with, one about Facebook groups and one about the asking for referrals. Do you just go in and post the kind of content you would normally post on your profile? You're posting it into the group, or like what kind of content is in the group that makes it valuable?
Yeah, so I've really separated the work that I do as, as a business strategy, marketing and sales coach for small business owners from my personal profile persona, right? There's some bleed over, people join your group and then they send you a friend request because you've made a relationship and you can, talk about your vacations and post pictures, and that's all great. But inside the group, I really make sure to talk about things that I know are top of mind for my audience, which are conversations around worth. Am I worthy of helping the people that I want to help? Basics of marketing. So many entrepreneurs, life coaches included, you got to this point because you have personal experiences led you and driven you to want to serve people in this way, but maybe you've never marketed before. Maybe you've never had to sell before. So you don't know how to have that conversation with someone in a way that feels authentic. So I share information about that. I go live in the group once a week with a free lesson around whatever topic seems to be needed by the group at that point in time.
Yeah.
And then I also make sure that I'm messaging people as they're in the group, talking with them, communicating with them, seeing where they are, what they need, and just paying attention to the conversation and then responding to it.
Wow. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
How do you, just follow up question on that? How do you minimize the riffraff that, try to troll around in groups? Like they sneak in under the guise of being the kind of audience member of your group, but then they're in there asking questions that, are phishing questions for engagement, or maybe you don't get that because you've set your filter up so high, but how do you filter on the front end and how do you manage it on the back end?
So like on the front end, you have group rules, of course, and those rules can be like, no spamming, no self-promotion, things along those lines. And I just have a zero tolerance policy. As soon as somebody does something like that, I block the content, I remove the post, I send them one warning. If they do it again, I kick them out of the group.
Yep.
And people see that happen. Because it's not a place for that.
Right.
And again, I think my group is, about 625 people right now. It's not, I'm not trying to serve an audience of 10,000 people. Right. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that because in this community, in this conversation, it's who wants to be there. Yeah. And are we providing value for one another? That's more important.
How do you run? Do you run it like do you manage the conversation in the group where like you're teaching, and so the expectation is the posts that we engage here on are Meredith teaching us things, and then you have comments, or is it the other kind of group where it's like, hey, we're all here to sort of ask each other how we do things, and every now and then Meredith pops in with some training? Like,
it's kind of like a hybrid of both of those, because the lesson that I go in and do each week for sure is me bringing some information. And it might be something that I've just recently found or come across, and I say, hey, like this is a new thing that you might want to be paying attention to, or hey, here's an experience that I had that wasn't so great. Let's make sure that we're not doing that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely a teaching moment, but more of the conversation in the posting is around like asking questions like, what was your biggest win this week? What are you really excited about? Have you ever had a time when this happened with a client, or when this happened with a product or service? Or, hey, is there anybody here that knows something about this? Mm-hmm. So recognizing I, for sure, not the smartest person in the room, don't want to be, don't need to be. And so other people in the room, if you will, in the community, know more about their area of expertise than I do. And so how can we, yes, it's my group. Yes, it's where I teach. Yes, it's where I lead. Yes, it's where I hope that people see value in what I'm doing so that they will come over and become a client if I'm the right fit for them.
Right.
But if you're in the group and you meet somebody in the group and the two of you decide to do business together because you're providing value, I'm okay with that. As long as it's not done in a way where it's like, here's my super spammy post for you, and if anybody likes or comments on it, I'm going to slide into your DMs and start, hammering on you to buy my thing.
Yeah. So good.
Because that's so not good.
Yeah. It just, and it, you know, I think when a Facebook group is done well, it can be a really rich resource. And then there's just a lot of places where Facebook groups were just one more tactic that somebody tried, and they never created the group with enough conviction and ownership of how it was going to go for them as the creator of that group. And so it devolves into, you know, just a shit show really of people sharing whatever they share and whatever. So I love the idea that going into the group, you have a sense of how you own the room, how you read the room, manage the room. Just like if you were doing a live training, like when I'm doing something live and in person, like this is my room, I'm owning that room, you know, and I can facilitate it how it needs to facilitate so people have a safe experience. Because that's the thing. It's like, if it doesn't feel safe, people don't show up.
Exactly.
Okay, so let me ask this will be my final question tactically. Like, what's the referral conversation sound like? How do you ask for those?
Yeah, it's funny. Recently, being probably in the last, let's say this calendar year, I haven't had to ask. I'm having an experience right now where when clients, I come from the school of thought that my clients should graduate from meeting me because they have gained the knowledge and inputs that I am able to help them get, and then they're ready for the next thing. And that next thing may not be with me, and that's okay.
Yeah.
You know, that's success to me. And so I'm often having clients that are graduating and saying, hey, I've passed your name on to these couple of people. I've asked them to join the group. Would you please reach out to them? And let them know. I had that experience this week where a woman who is nearly done working with me, she's got about a month left, said that she had as a friend who's where she was 6 months ago and shared where she's come in these last 6 months. I said, great, invite her to join the group. And she joined the group, responded to one of my posts, having a conversation with her, said, here are the different ways that I engage with people. What would you like to have happen next? And she said, I would like to book a call with you. I said, great, here's the link to book the call. Nice. So I like to think of the referral process as, and I don't know if this is a thing or not, but I call it a permission-based approach.
Yeah.
Where I'm saying to someone, would you be interested to know more about that? Here are 3 options. Are any of these options currently feeling like they're a fit for you? And having full acceptance that the ball is 100% in their court. And if they're feeling that, back to the exchange of the energy, if they're feeling that exchange may be timely, then they're going to say yes to something. And if they're feeling that it's not, it's okay. Because I don't want to work with people who aren't either completely committed or interested in moving forward.
Yeah, right.
If I were going to ask for referrals, though, to ask, straight up for referrals, I would say to someone, I would be very direct. I would say to someone, Chris, I'm so excited about the growth that I've seen in you. I'm so proud of you. And it's been such a pleasure working with you. My business grows through referrals largely. Do you know anyone who? And I would be very specific about the ask. You can't just say something like, do you know anybody that likes hamburgers? You got to be specific with the ask. Like, what is the current thing you're promoting? Are you getting ready to launch a mastermind? Are you getting ready to do a membership program? Are you getting ready for a new group coaching session to start? And if, let's say it was a group coaching session, I would say, I have a new session that starts in May. I have 4 spaces available, and I'm looking for people who blank, blank, blank. Yeah. Can you help me think of a few people I should reach out to?
Nice.
And
I love the specific part of that.
And I like also saying, can you think of someone that I should reach out to? So I'm taking the work on. The last thing that somebody wants is to have to go and do more stuff. Right. They don't need growing your business on their to-do list. Right. But if you can say, who do you know that I should reach out to? They might say, oh my gosh, I think Chris Angel he'd really like that program. Right. great, I'm going to reach out to him. When I do, is it okay for me to mention that you suggested that I reach out?
Nice.
So then that becomes the warm introduction, but it's on me.
Yeah.
It's not on them.
Yeah. I love that. So good.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, this is, we got a lot done in a short amount of time. This is awesome conversation.
We got a lot to talk about.
How we do it.
It's good.
That's how we do it. So if people want to reach out to you, Meredith, and learn more about what you do, if you're open to that, how can people connect with you?
Yeah, thanks for asking.
Yeah.
So if you think that Facebook community might be something that would be a good match for you, it's called Side Gig Gurus, and you can just find the group on Facebook, and you're more than welcome to reach out there. Or if you want to just simply drop me an email, say hello. You can find me, of course, on LinkedIn or on Facebook, but you could always just drop a quick email to hello@sidegiggurus.com. And I'd be excited to meet with you and excited to get to know you and where you are in your business.
I love it. So good. So good. Meredith, it's always so fun to talk to you. I love what you're up to in the world and who you are. And thanks for giving us your time.
Yeah. Thanks for having me again. Take care.
Well, that's it, gang. Thanks for listening to this episode of Life Coach Labs. Before I let you go, I want to invite you to two things. One, there is a companion Facebook group to this show called Life Coach Labs. Go to Facebook and search Life Coach Labs. You can see it here on the screen. If I scroll through, this is a companion group to the show because it gives me a chance to get to know you. I want to know you as much as you listen to me and my guests. I want to know you. I want to hear about your important work. I want to support you. So please head over to Facebook and join the free Life Coach Labs Facebook group. Number two, let's jump over to the next window here. If you are looking to create recurring revenue in as little as 4 hours a week, I have documented my community model, right? How do you do community? How do you build a membership model for your coaching that incubates the people you want to serve and do it in as little as 4 hours a week? You can head over to lifecoachlabs.com/model. You can see it right here on the screen, lifecoachlabs.com/model, and learn more about how to create recurring revenue in as little as 4 hours a week. Thanks for hanging out with me in this episode. And until next time, be well.